The power rankings are up. As usual, they are trash. Frank, defend yourself, good sir. I don't even try and be nice anymore. Look, let's start with the fact that you brought the Browns all the way from 30 to 20. You're sitting here telling me that the Browns don't stand a chance at winning their way out to get into this playoff conversation, but now they go up 10 spots because of Jameis Winston? What are you talking about, you coward?
Yes, I was not a math major at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, but I could tell you that the Browns need to go 8-1 the rest of the season to make the playoffs, and that ain't happening. But you look at this team right now, if you look at the Jameis Winston Browns, like we're just starting 0-0 for everybody. Where would you, like, there's some teams that are above them that I probably could have put the Browns ahead of them, because I have more faith that, sorry, Denver fans, who would you rather face right now, the Browns or the Broncos? You'd probably rather face the Broncos, right? They have a much better record. They're ahead in my power rankings. But this is a different team with Jameis Winston. They're not going to go 8-1. That ain't happening. But I think that this Browns team for the rest of the season is going to play playoff football. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to play at that level. And so even putting them at 20, I know it was a huge jump up. It was kind of a little bit of a middle finger to the Browns for punting their season on a $230 million quarterback who didn't deserve to have his feelings coddled. But I do think that this team is going to be a top 15 team the rest of the way. And I don't even think you guys would disagree with that.
Would you have changed where the Colts are now that you know that Joe Flacco is going to be their starter?
I probably would have bumped them up,
long term.
Yeah, I think they're better. I think they're just better. They're straight up
But
better.
I'm like looking at the teams beneath the Browns for you, and I think that's the only team that I'm like, maybe if you're making on that. But I mean, I think what's interesting is that we kind of forget after the Jets had absolutely no bump from firing Robert Saleh, from getting Devontae Adams, all of that most teams, when they make a decision that is in the best interest of their roster and in the best interest of winning now, do have that shot of adrenaline. And I think that Cleveland, like the players, have honestly been through so much in terms of all the Deshaun Watson stuff that I do agree with you that not having to deal with him anymore, quite frankly, this season
just having
is
an
going to make a
quarterback.
difference.
They have an adulted quarterback finally. And
Okay,
it's weird to call Jameis.
No.
I know Jameis is going to throw them out of some games or whatnot, but they have a competency at quarterback that they haven't had.
On field
number
adult.
4.
I still think that
on the field.
Yes, maybe Jameis Winston looks like an upstanding citizen compared to the allegations against Deshaun Watson, but not actually.
I get that. But it was so funny to one of their linemen. I can't remember who was quoted in the story. I was reading up on the Browns this week, and one was like talking about how excited he was and how he gave energy in the huddle. And he's like, sometimes I don't know what Jameis is talking about, but it was still really firing us up. Like that kind of sums up the Jameis Winston experience.
Yeah, you may not have been a math major, but you were a molecular science major because you're splitting hairs on this Browns thing. That's fine. It's fine. The Eagles,
he was cooking that up for a couple of minutes.
Thank you. The Eagles up to 8 between Pittsburgh and Washington. And so that one a little bit interesting to me. I think Pittsburgh, you're giving the Steelers a lot of love, but I can't fault you because we do have to acknowledge Tomlin's basic. I'm paraphrasing Tomlin saying, "Never confuse good for great." I think has really spoken. I'm impressed that the Eagles are up to 8, but also I kept looking at that Pittsburgh thing, thinking, "Man, we're sleeping on how good the Steelers are."
We might be. We absolutely might be. With the Eagles, though, it's something Jory talked about before. When they've had A.J. Brown in the lineup, they're 4-0 and they look like a different team. Like it has always been super pretty for them.
And don't forget the Lane Johnson bump.
That too. I just think that this Eagles team is going to be really good the rest of the way. I mean, they got through their injuries. No, they weren't playing the best of football. Yes, Nick Sirianni was yelling at fans or whatever, but we have seen them go on the road 2 straight weeks and put up 20-point wins on the road. And we talk about this, Fitz, and I'm going to grant you, the Bengals might be a bad team, right? But still, to go on the road in the NFL, win by 20 is tough to do. They've done that 2 straight weeks. So I think the Eagles are on the right track. Their team, I think they are the best team nobody's talking about. And it's weird because we always talk about the Eagles, right? But nobody's talking about, like, the Eagles are back. They're ready to go win a Super Bowl because we're all talking about the Commanders and all these other teams. And I think the Eagles are just as good as any one of them as long as A.J. Brown is healthy and the rest of the team is remotely healthy too.
Right. I definitely think the wild cards in the NFC could easily be the Eagles, the Packers, and the Vikings. But I think when you look at it, we're not really going to actually know how good Philly is for at least a month because they've just played the Saints, Bucks, Browns, Giants, Bengals. Okay, a couple of those teams are okay,
Oh,
but
and then
not
look at the
great.
schedule
And now
coming
they've
up.
got Jaguars, Cowboys, Jaguars and Cowboys. So then after that, you're going to go Commanders, Rams, Ravens, and that's when I feel like we'll really get a sense for, is this team good or are they going to be great? But yeah, I think that's what's funny to me when everyone was like, is Sirianni going to get fired early? Or you guys were ready to fire the Chicago Bears coaches because Caleb Williams wasn't immediately ready to go.
I'm ready to
like,
fire the Chicago Bears coaches after Sunday night.
I'm sorry. I'm still ready to fire him.
I'm ready
I
too.
just think that you guys think everything can be perfect in a zero-sum game, and I just really think that's unrealistic. But
No,
yeah, in terms of the Steelers, I do agree with you. I think also one of the reasons that you should have optimism in them is obviously they've had a great defense for a while. They get the Mike Tomlin bump in terms of how many wins they're going to play, and you have a quarterback who Russell Wilson was. He made some really good plays the first game, but he also underthrew some passes, and that happened a lot less in his second game, and he was a lot more intense. I mean, his stats look okay, but there were 2 touchdowns called back, one because of a holding call, and the other, George Pickens got his right foot in twice as opposed to his right and left foot in. So he really basically threw 4 touchdown passes in terms of what you need from him out of the quarterback position against a good defense. I know that the Giants aren't a great team, but they are a good defense, and I think when you look at it also, not only is he playing quarterback at a high level and figuring out the play action, which is helping the running game, it's helping the protection because he's not just holding on to the ball too long, which a lot of people thought Justin Fields would have given you an advantage in that area. I also think that he has gotten George Pickens engaged again, and the ability to do that is like so hard to understate or overstate.
My favorite Joryism. She's our favorite nerd in all of sports media because the minute that catch happened and my phone's blown up and people are like, wait, so 2 feet down isn't 2 feet down? And Jory had not only immediately tweeted it out, but she tweeted out with the picture from the NFL rule book with everything laid out for you in a way. I was just, boop, I retweeted that, started texting it to all my buddies. I'm like, look, if you want the rules, Jory's going to give them to you. Jory came through right there. That was a powerful move by her. Make sure you follow her on social media.
The rule did not say 2. Thank you, Fitz. Thank you. Yeah, it's not 2 feet. It's both feet.
Yeah, that's broadcasters should start reshaping the way they call that in games now, and I'm sure they will.